Hear ye and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll, and tonight I am joined by my very good friends. You know them, you love them. First of all, we have Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy. We also have Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shamato. Boys, how we doing tonight?
Yeah, man. Doing good, man. Surviving this pollen still, you know. Everything sucks.
Yeah.
Everything sucks still. But
Yeah, no, it's been hard to breathe lately.
yeah, other than that, it's been a pretty good week, man. Pretty good week. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it's been a good week. Had the week off. Was hustling some other ways, but working and
Dealing some drugs, or what's going on here?
I
man?
mean, I'm not going to
I can neither confirm nor deny these rumors.
yes, I'm not going to implicate myself on anything.
Yeah. Smart. Very smart.
Well, hey, we are here to review another episode of X-Men 97, the latest show on Disney Plus in the Marvel world. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Animated show. Episodes have been short, which is different than a lot of live action shows are, maybe not a lot longer, especially with Marvel.
Yeah.
But I digress. We're here to review episode number 4, which has a few titles. Let me read them all. We have Motendo.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to talk about that. / Life Death - Part 1. That is the technical episode title right there for you.
Yes, it feels like an Adult Swim show, like to where they cut it in half, or
dude.
Yeah.
Mind blown right now. I that connects. That checks.
Yeah.
Aqua Teen, Hunger Force.
Yes, it's something like that.
Aqua Teen, Hunger Force
Yes.
for sure.
Or you want to break it down, just like a Disney Channel show, like for like a kids Disney Channel show.
Yeah. You're watching
Where
the first part of Fancy Nancy, and you
Yeah.
get the second part of Fancy Nancy. That's
Yes.
what it is. That's a shout out to my daughter right there.
Yeah.
That's what we're watching that now. So.
Bluey.
Bluey, there you go. Speaking of shout-outs, shout out to all of our listeners, everybody who's tuned in. We appreciate you. I want to remind you to please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen and help us out. Leave us a review, leave a comment, share this podcast with your friends. All of those things really help us out a lot. So, yeah, if you could do that for us, that'd be great. Also thought I'd mention that we actually got to do something pretty cool this week. Me and Justin. Sorry, I can't breathe either, man. This is
okay.
really,
Yeah, it's
literally
okay.
breathing. I'm a mouth breather right now. Like it's just so with my allergies. Me and Sandy here got to go on be guest stars on another podcast. You can find us on YouTube on the MCU's Bleeding Edge podcast, where we covered the latest episode of Shogun. Well, it's not the latest now at the time of recording.
Right.
It was
Chapter
last
6.
week. Chapter 6.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's helpful. Amato couldn't make it because he was celebrating his anniversary with his wife.
Congrats.
I figured that's a good reason to not do a podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
It helps keep me in the breathing world.
Yes. There you go.
Yes. He can breathe better
Land
than
of
we
the
can
living.
right now.
Yeah. I know.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, go check that out. Go on YouTube, search MCU's Bleeding Edge, and
I'll put a link in our description.
there you go. There
There
you
you
go. It's a little bit longer than our podcast. We'll just say that, but it was fun. It was really cool to meet some people and be guests on another person's show. So we're gonna, I guess, dive into the world of do what podcasters do, right?
Yes.
Kind of collaborate. We'll be trying to do more things like that in the future. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. So shout out to Jeff and the boys for allowing us to do that. Appreciate it. I think it's time to review this episode, guys.
Yeah. Let's dive in here.
All right, so here's a spoiler warning for episode 4, which once again is called Motendo / Life Death - Part 1.
There you
Yes.
go. Yeah. Right off the bat.
Justin, what you think?
Right off the bat, man. Right off the bat.
Go ahead. No holds barred.
No holds barred. I was not a fan of this episode at all. I didn't like the dual storyline type of deal. I kind of wish they would just focused on one and left it at that.
Well, especially since they were going to do Life, Death in a 2-part episode, unless
Just
there's
make it
some
one episode.
unless there's some one specific reason, I don't know. Or I guess they were like, oh well, this is gonna be an episode and a half, but we don't want to split it into 2. It's a real weird idea. It's like,
Yeah.
why not just try to make one solid episode, or make it 2 or something like that.
Yeah, but another reason I wasn't a huge fan of the episode was you benched your stars.
Yeah.
You bench your stars. I don't want to
Hey,
see.
they had breakfast together.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. Yeah, they had breakfast together.
I mean,
but
nobody's here for Jubilee. I'm sorry. Like, Jubilee is not like.
you just offended all the Jubilee stands out there, which
Yeah.
2 people. So
Yeah, I'm sorry, but if you're putting up or against, if like, oh, this episode's going to be about Cyclops, this episode's going to be about Wolverine,
Yeah.
this episode's going to be Magneto, I'm much more interested in any of those
I
or
think I can
multiple
name
other characters.
maybe 4 or 5
Yes.
more characters.
Yes,
that I'd rather have
for sure. I would love to have seen like a Morph episode. Like that would, to me, right now, like I would love to see an
that'd be
episode
awesome.
wrapped around him.
Yeah, more
You know?
intriguing right now. Yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
But yeah, so like it just, I guess they're trying to build around the character of Jubilee and her new friend. Is it
Roberto.
Roberto? That's what I thought it was, but I wasn't sure. Yeah, like they're trying to build up their relationship and trying to show once again getting a character in there that is not that is still learning about his abilities, very new on the front. So I mean, and I understand like X-Men likes having a character that is like just figuring themselves out. Like that's a lot of what they're doing.
Yeah.
But it did seem like they were like, we're just gonna like veer off. I felt like there were a couple of different shows that I was like, or movies that I was kind of like, this is kind of leaning towards with the ideas and stuff like that. I was like, of course, it feels a little bit like one of the newer Jumanjis, a little bit, where they're getting pulled into the video game, and then also, I don't know why this one came to mind, but there was an episode of X-Files. I don't know if you ever watched the episode. There was an episode where people go into a video game and they get they're getting killed in real life, but inside a video game. I don't know. For some reason, I was thinking of that, and also Futurama. Futurama was also what I was thinking of.
Basically, every show in existence. Is what
Yes.
you're saying.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. even did it, kind of.
That's true.
Kind of did, yes.
Yeah. It's kind of like a classic video game, life in a video game trope, if
Yep.
you will.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So quick. So for me, again, I didn't watch the original X-Men show. Jubilee, is she a character like from?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I didn't know if
she-
this was another new one.
Essentially, like in a lot of ways, she's like
Roberto.
Roberto, like in the sense that she, at the very beginning of the original release, she was not a part of the team. She was someone that they
Just a
had
kid.
found. She had just been starting to come into her abilities a little
Yeah,
bit, and
yeah.
they needed to save her.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Jubilee. I didn't really mind the episode, to be honest. It didn't bother me like it did Justin.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
I think Justin just doesn't like.
He doesn't like fun.
Yeah, doesn't like fun. Doesn't like women or
What?
minorities. Just kidding.
There we go.
All
Yeah,
jokes.
all right.
All jokes.
I think Jubilee is a good side character, but I don't think she's like I don't think she's necessarily the greatest. Like we're gonna focus on you for an entire episode type of character.
Well,
But it wasn't an entire episode.
no,
it was an
half
entire
an episode.
storyline
You're right.
though.
Yeah.
I will say this. Okay, look. Here's my thing. All right, you bring back a show that's over 2 decades since the last appeared, right? And you're gonna keep your best toys in the box. Like what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Right. And then when you actually have a good toy, she doesn't even have any powers. Like what? Like in the last half of the episode. But I don't know. I feel like in the short 10-episode return that we're about to get, we're not utilizing our characters like we should. I don't know.
I mean, true. I mean, and you're kind of like they're kind of sidelining Cyclops and Jean Grey already a little bit. They already did a little bit with Storm.
Yeah.
And then they just like this episode, they essentially like didn't really have those characters involved.
Yeah.
So I do understand what you're getting at there. With their kind of not the team is kind of veering off.
Right.
Although that may be a part of what they're trying to do. They're trying to show like this fractured unit, and then they'll eventually come back together. And they're trying to give Roberto a purpose and try to be a part of the team in a way. And they're isolated. I do understand they're isolating him in this episode with one character that he gets along with to like kind of like build him up
Yeah.
a little bit, and like you get a little bit more one-on-one time. So you can actually see something. So he doesn't just kind of fall into the back and he's just kind of never there. So I
Right.
think that's kind of what they were trying to do there. So we're like, we're going to show you like who Roberto is. We're going to give him some time to build up with a character, and hopefully you'll enjoy him as he goes along.
Oh, this is fun. We got some strife on the podcast. I think this is another classic example of because our society is so used to just having everything bingeable.
Yeah.
We get a little butthurt because for a weekly episode, there's one episode that doesn't like go the way we want.
I mean,
I feel like
yeah.
if this was dropped Netflix style, you'd be like, okay, you just go to the next
Move
episode.
on to the next
You'd
one,
never even think about this.
You're right.
It wouldn't bother you.
Yeah.
But especially for us, because we're doing a podcast around it.
Yeah.
You're like, dang it, I had to drive all the way over here to T-Roll's house to talk about this episode
Yeah.
that kind of blew.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where,
Honestly, on the drive over here, I was like, "What are we going to talk about tonight?" Like, what are we, like?
well, we're going to talk about the villain,
Yeah, Mojo.
Mojo.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
Mojo was hilarious.
Mojo was funny. Yes, I did
Mojo
like
was
that.
freaking.
Yeah.
Am I wrong in saying that he was hilarious?
No, you're right. He was
funny,
He was,
yeah.
he was like his. I don't know who that actor was, but
Yeah,
like
the delivery was
the
great.
delivery was
Yeah.
incredible.
Yep.
I mean,
But here's the thing. But Mojo was this like presence, right?
yeah.
But then it's Jubilee, and a no powers Roberto is facing him. Oh wait, hold on. And then an older Jubilee. Like what? Like what are we doing here?
Who knew how to use her powers?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. I don't know, man. I just I think we might have wasted Mojo there. I don't know.
Is Mojo a big deal?
He's like C tier, D tier.
Yeah, it's pretty low. I figured he was kind of not a big tier. So
Yeah.
I just think. I mean, I didn't mind it. I'm not gonna say it's my favorite episode, but it was kind of
Yeah.
you know.
I, for the most part, I'd say it was just kind of there. Like it was like it wasn't the like you were saying. It's not the worst episode. Like it's not like it wasn't like it was a terrible episode. My biggest issue is like with the way they set it up. Like it's really weird that they split the episode and then they were like,
Yeah, that was
we're gonna
weird,
give you
I'll
the
admit.
second part later on, and it's gonna need a full episode. Like it feels weird.
Yeah.
In that sense, that was my biggest issue with it. Was like it feels like this
Adult
tells,
Swim.
Yeah,
Like you said earlier.
it feels like Adult Swim, but it also feels like I'm not 100% sure you know what you're doing. Like that's what that tells me is like, and especially because we're gonna have to wait 2 weeks for the
Conclusion
of
part one, part two.
of that. It's also it's weird. It almost feels like some executive came in here and was like, "We're gonna do it this way," and then they were like, "Well, this seems really dumb." And they're like, "Well, we're gonna do it anyway." It almost feels like the bungling that like Fox did with Firefly and the way they released it, and like it just doesn't feel like organic or natural the way that they're playing this at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I will admit that the two different mini storylines in an already short episode, I'll admit was a little strange for me. But I wouldn't say that the first part with Jubilee and Roberto, I mean, they're not like the most dynamic characters, but I think they're trying to make you care about them.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
you know, so
Which we eventually will by the end, I'm sure.
yeah,
But,
maybe, maybe.
Okay,
not.
I will throw. Okay, so sort of a positive to what they were doing. Would you have been more, or would you be more into this episode, or you had been like, this is more of a waste of time if the entire episode had been the Motendo storyline?
I would have been more into it, I think, especially like maybe getting some of the X-Men who were at breakfast looking for Jubilee. Well, where'd she go? Like we're gonna go take her somewhere, but that's not the arcade because
Yeah.
Magneto doesn't want to go to the arcade. Like
Because Magneto didn't want to go to the
Yeah.
arcade.
That sounds. It's a childish
so
like
funny.
idea. Like,
it is. You're right.
yeah.
So funny. Magneto doesn't like video games.
Yeah, I almost think it may have been like worse if it had been a longer episode because it felt like it would have stolen more of like your time in a way to where it was like okay, and then it was like okay, it's all been like essentially a dream in a way,
yeah.
and then it's like okay, now we're nothing really happened in this episode, that kind of idea.
If we're gonna have a filler episode, I think we should have had the full filler episode be each one of the main X-Men, like Wolverine, Gambit, Rogue, all try to do something nice for Jubilee on her birthday.
Yeah.
Like they all have their own different things that,
Oh,
that
man.
relate to them, and
Yeah.
then they did something for her birthday.
Yeah, by the way, how'd the Matendo get in her room?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. Nobody knows.
What the heck's that about?
Mojo put it in there. I don't know.
I guess so.
Exactly.
What I don't get is like
Butthole.
you see this thing that I don't know. I guess the idea is the fact that somebody got her something for her birthday, but I would have been like, this is like this shouldn't be here.
Right.
Like there's something wrong.
Well, and
here.
then Wolverine's on the cartridge, like
Yeah.
the cartridge of the game. I think the one cool thing that I did like was that they actually used some like footage in the video game from the actual X-Men arcade game, which was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Oh,
that's cool.
Um,
Oh, and the theme was playing in the
theme
video
was playing
game.
while
That
the
was
video
cool.
game. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And it sounded like a retro video game.
It did. But yeah, I mean, it was just such an odd play, and then they give you a storyline in the back end with Forge and Storm, where I feel like that might have been a better story to keep going. Hence, part
Yeah.
one, like keep going on there. Like,
Can we say one? Keep it on.
Sure,
Nintendo
absolutely,
real quick.
yeah.
Just because they were so distinct in part A and part B of this
Yeah.
episode themselves. The point was for them to fall in love, and they did.
Yeah, they did by the
Yeah.
end. Yeah,
So it's like to say nothing happened. Well, that's literally not true.
Yeah.
Technically, that's not true. I mean, they clearly fell for each other inside that video game. You might not like it
yeah,
because again, you don't like fun.
yeah.
But I mean, there was significance in it. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just here to roast Justin. That's all.
Yeah, I would have
sounds
liked
good
it
to
if
me.
at the end it was like they had some sort of lighthearted thing and they broke down Magneto and like you get to see this another moment where you get to see like Magneto moving towards being at least a hero at the moment, you know.
Yeah. Like
Where it's
imagine like getting Magneto in street clothes and going to the arcade. Like that would have been enjoyable. They can't get the coins to go in the thing, and he uses his powers to make it work.
like a
come on.
weird or like a weird scene where Morph like seduces Magneto as Rogue is like to get him to go to like the
Yes,
Yeah.
dude.
like
Yeah.
like
the
just,
motto of the writer
Yeah,
comes out
here it
again.
goes. Here
and
it
like
comes.
he's like, oh, gets him to go to the arcade, and then you know, like it just like a like more lighthearted moment you get to see because you know a large part of what they've been trying to show is that Magneto has changed, and like this would be a good way of him like you're seeing him grow because you see him be like, this seems like a really stupid idea,
Yeah.
and then he's like, and then he ends up, you know, okay. You know, and ends up joining
fine,
back
I'll
in.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fine, I'll go. And then he ends up and then
Add on to your writing here. I'm just like spitballing here.
Uh-oh.
Then you get a Gambit and Magneto like skee ball shootout for Rogue's
Yes.
heart. Like
Yeah.
I mean,
like they're going at or like air hockey.
Yeah, oh,
air
there you go.
hockey would
There
be
you go.
fun. You know, and then like maybe the last
foosball pool. Like
Or
something
and like,
that.
what if, what if this whole everything you guys are saying actually happened at this arcade, and the whole storyline with oh my gosh,
Mojo?
with Mojo. That what if that whole storyline still happened with Jubilee and Roberto, but it was in a part of the arcade
that they thought they were
that they like
Yeah.
the rest of the X-Men didn't know that
There
they
you
were in
go.
danger.
Yeah.
And they were actually in danger. And now you got a whole episode instead of this little half thing. And in
Yeah.
the middle of their real danger, you're seeing Gambit and
Everyone have fun,
Magneto
yeah.
Yeah, it's
trying
like,
to
you see them
Bro
like maybe in the
off, yeah.
background.
Yeah.
You literally see them like scrolling back and forth on the whatever like game they're playing in the arcade. But like in the foreground, you have Magneto and like Gambit going at it, and it's like this almost comical like idea that's
Yes.
happening. You know,
And it would actually make sense how Mojo would get to Jubilee rather than being in the room.
It
Like
did
he's there
randomly
in the
room.
arcade.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and you could have done a whole lot more. Like
So we just solved this episode.
Yeah, we could have.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have also done some great '90s nostalgia, and like they're trapped in one video game, but every time they fight, like they get thrown into another video game,
Like a Wreck-It Ralph
like a Wreck-It
situation.
Ralph, exactly
Yeah.
like that.
That'd be super cool. Like, and there's all the little cool things you could do with like Magneto in that moment. Like,
Right.
I don't know, maybe like Wolverine's like playing a game and he gets really pissed off, and you just see him like
Yes,
he pulls out his
exactly.
claws and he's about to swipe, and Magneto just like stops him and he's like, "Not right
Don't
now,
draw a
big guy."
scene. Yeah, don't
like,
draw. Yeah,
yeah, like just like slow him down, but like in a moment of where.
Be
You're
the
like,
hero.
oh, like Magneto is being the voice of reason in this moment and like slowing him down, or you know maybe Magneto is like kind of being a spoil sport. He like showed up, but he's also being kind of like
In
a
the
spoil
corner.
sport
He's
in the
in the corner,
background.
yeah.
But then like you see a moment with like Jubilee, and she's like she loses, but then it's like you see like all of a sudden you see like just a coin like float into the thing, and it's just like you see
goes again.
it's like you know go again, and it's like oh you see Magneto did that just like
Mm-hmm.
a little something where you get to see just a little
Keep
bit of
humanizing him more,
humanity.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you see a little humanity inside of
Yeah. So the episode
Magneto.
we just created, I'm a fan of, and that like,
Yeah.
why did it not happen? Like, I'm here for it. This is what we want need to happen, and I'm going to give that episode a 5 out of 5. So
Okay, well, why don't you talk about part 2? Because you did want to talk about Forge.
I did.
Yeah.
there's a little bit more of an entertaining story here. So, Forge, we get a little more backstory with his
Yes.
character and how he was working for the government, and he actually started the designs for the inhibitor collars.
Yes.
To which ended up causing Storm to lose her powers eventually.
Yeah.
So clearly, that didn't go well for Storm. But you also see Storm and Forge kind of like getting closer.
You do.
Just like the comics.
You see this moment, and you feel for Forge in the sense of like he feels bad for what he did, and he like, I don't know, it's this idea that happens lots of times, and like it's this trope with scientists. It's like they're either forced to do something or they're so into like the science of what they're doing that they don't always like comprehend what they're doing outside of that. Like, what is it going to be used for? It's more about like it's more about the scientific exploration rather than like this is going to be used to hurt other people. And like I 100% believe like what he's saying. He's like, well, if I had told you this in Dallas, there'd been no way you would have come with me, and like I would, for me to be able to help you, and like you believe that because like there's no way Storm would have went with him if he was like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm the dude who created those.
No, yeah.
Like, so I might be able to help, and it'd be like, oh, she'd be like, nah, I'm good, like I'm not going anywhere near you.
Yeah, like why would I? Yeah.
Yeah.
And if anything, like it would have made her hate him. But
Yeah.
the moments, like she's like, it was real. Like the moments we had were real. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That typical like love storyline.
Yes.
Like when you fall apart, come back together. That
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah, and it's like anytime you see those things where it's like someone who falls for someone while they're telling a lie, you
Right,
know,
yeah.
and then it's like, well, you got to find that idea of like what was real, like what, like how much of this was real, how much this was you just playing up something, so you get to see like them kind of like find their balance in their own story.
Yeah, and I mean, you feel the chemistry between them. Like when they were horseback riding, like the way they introduced it, where she's got the wind in her hair, like she was talking about moments before, and
Yeah.
Ford is just trying so hard to connect to her, and
Making her dinner.
Yeah, there you go, making her dinner, handing her the biscuits, like
Yeah.
Man, that man can make some biscuits.
yeah, I know, right? But yeah, it was a good scene, man. It really was. But we're gonna get a conclusion to this because Storm, she gets taken by this demonic villain here.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember if the name.
Is that the crow that she pointed out flying around?
Yeah,
It's gotta be, right?
I think so. Yeah, the owl.
The owl,
yeah.
the owl.
Oh, it didn't really look like an
The
owl.
adversary, I think, is what this thing is called.
Yeah, that's what it said its name was.
Yeah, the adversary. And it's part of Forge's backstory, like because he's a Cheyenne tribe. So
Yeah.
we're gonna get some
Yeah.
more details into
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
but I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of that part too. Like, but
That was freaky though when the freaking adversary like it just
Shows up,
looked
yeah.
just looked twisted.
yes, very twisted. And when it bit down on the Forge and like the
And like poisoned him. It looked like.
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is interesting because they've almost like there's been similar like designs on these things that have been happening, and they haven't been necessarily the same color, but it's just like interesting seeing how like what happened with Nathan, what happened with even Jubilee and Roberto in this episode with like the design,
Veins
like the
kinda,
veins that went on their face, and even the same thing that happened with Forge when he gets that. It's like similar like
a spread,
designs,
right? Like a spread.
which I'm not necessarily saying that they're connected, but it's just interesting that they're like similarly designed when these
Yeah.
things are happening to them.
Yeah, good pointing that out. But yeah, so to only get that little sliver, a little taste. I mean, I guess that's a good thing that they make you want to get more after the beginning of the episode. Like that's good. They were able to pull that off.
Yeah, I don't understand the whole. They're not going to come back to it for 2 weeks though.
Yeah.
How do you? So they've already released the title.
Titles for the shows.
Yeah.
Okay. That is fascinating. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what that means? There's probably a character or something that's going to get introduced in this next episode that's going to be relevant for actually saving Storm.
And if that's
That's my
what
guess.
it is, I'm okay with it. Like that,
Yeah.
like if they're gonna make it like okay, we're kind of leave a little bit of a cliffhanger and then build the story to fall back into it. I'm
Yeah.
all right with that. Now, if this episode has nothing to do with that storyline, I'm gonna be kind of like, well, why did you split them up?
It probably won't have anything to do with it. And the way they'll justify it is that's all happening in one part of the United States, and then they go to see what's happening side by side, simultaneous, like what's going on with the X Mansion.
Hopefully involving some of the other X-Men.
Correct. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. That's what I was. Yeah. Let's
All
bring
of it.
back Gambit, Wolverine, Rogue.
Yeah,
Dude, I want more of that breakfast scene, dude.
Yeah. Or the entire episode's gonna be set in the future with Cable and Bishop.
Maybe.
Dude, that would be cool. I was gonna say with that moment when Morph was like, "Didn't your parents ever take you to an arcade or something?"
yeah.
And he said, "My parents perished when I was a child," or something like that.
Yes.
Oops.
Yep.
And Morph's face is like,
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
uh-oh.
I would
Stepping on
love
our
to
toes.
see an episode with just like Morph is very interesting to me right now.
yeah,
Like he would be a very interesting character to just like
Yeah.
focus on. Put him
Yeah.
in a video game.
Yeah.
maybe
Let's put
Let him
Morph in
play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, he literally has like the coolest power for like a video game.
Oh
yeah, it'd be super cool because it'd be like almost one of those games where it's almost like the Lego video games where you can switch between the characters as
point.
needed, like as you move around. You're
Right.
like, so he just switched to whatever X-Men power he needs at the moment to
Yeah.
defeat whatever enemies there.
Whatever threats there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great point. I mean, overall episode for me, not very good.
Yeah.
I know you guys said it's kind of like there, right?
Yeah.
Average. I will say, I'll pose a question for speculation, okay? Or what you want to see. Which characters that are not main characters so far that we've seen do you want to see appear in the show soon?
So characters who have not
But showed
appeared.
up yet in the series. For example, my person is Nightcrawler.
Oh yeah,
I want to see
Nightcrawler would be
Nightcrawler.
amazing.
If I have a number 2, I'm gonna go ahead and say Mystique. Where's Mystique? Right.
Yeah, Mystique would be amazing.
So then, well, who else? Who else you got?
Oh gosh. I mean, those are two great options right there. Of course, it'd be super cool to see Deadpool show up at some point.
Yeah.
That would be someone that would be super awesome to see. Let's see.
Juggernaut.
Yeah, Juggernaut would be
Sabretooth.
super cool.
Here's the thing: Magneto's old enough to have
Sabretooth's-
children, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Wanda and Pietro. Like
That would be phenomenal.
sick.
To see Wanda would be
Yeah.
That would be amazing. I
Yeah.
would love to see them. That would be.
And here's how you do it. You know, Rogue's falling for him again, and they get connected. Then all of a sudden, a past lover from, you know, from his life comes around. Unless Rogue happens to be their mom. I don't think
no.
so. Okay.
No,
okay.
No.
But yeah, so a past lover comes, like, resurfaces.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's had children this whole time, didn't know it. Now Rogue's mad because she's got to look after these bratty
Yeah.
kids.
There you go. I mean, tons of characters that we haven't seen yet. Where are they at? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Like
open.
It'd be cool to see Iceman.
Yeah, there you
or-
go. Kitty
yeah.
Pryde.
Yeah,
Like,
Kitty Pryde would
yeah.
be cool.
And is there anything, like, could this, you know, is there anything non-X-Men that we could see, you know? Like,
yeah, great point. I mean,
not mutants. but-
Spider-Man.
I don't know. Just
Yeah,
other,
Spider-Man kind of has interactions
Fantastic
with
Four
them.
would be
Yeah.
great.
Fantastic Four would be super cool, like as a, hey, remember these guys exist, and
just a nod.
Yeah.
and like, hey, they don't suck.
Yeah. Or
Like-
like it could be like Magneto's like giving a speech about mutants or whatever, and then he's like, "Well, keep in mind that like not everybody with powers are mutants," and then
Yeah,
like they refer to
Yeah.
any one of the numerous superheroes in the universe.
Right.
Like,
Right.
but I don't know. I'm
is
ready
the
to see
90s.
that.
It is
It is
the
the 90s.
90s,
Yeah.
so-
Yeah. So you got to think about what's going on here. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So maybe Shield.
Yeah. Yeah.
we get somehow get a
or,
Shield.
or Captain
reference.
Marvel.
Captain
Yeah.
Marvel. Yeah. None of this will happen. Can't even get
No.
them to focus on Morph, and we're over here dreaming on
Good point.
dreaming
Good
on
point.
bigger things.
So yeah, I
that's
don't
what
know.
we do.
I am looking forward to the rest of the series, though. I mean, you got to have one dud. Hopefully, just one.
Yeah,
We'll see.
You don't have to.
I mean, with animated shows, you're more than likely to have
Animated show, sure.
one.
Yeah.
yeah, because they kind of they have this like openness to them that
Yeah.
like there's usually one episode that's just like a sore thumb, and you're just like, I don't know what they were thinking, but like it's usually either they're
Usually, you don't remember it.
Yeah.
Later on, like 10 years from now, you're not
yeah.
going to remember that
and lots of times
You'll forget about this episode.
one of the weird things is it'll usually either be their best or their worst episode. That one that's like just out of nowhere, and you're just
Standalone.
like,
Yeah.
it was like they took a chance and it either goes amazing or it's
Home
like
run or you
this.
strike out?
Yeah, pretty much.
There you go.
But yeah.
Good deal. Okay, well, boys, that was fun. Made the most of it as we could there, Justin.
Best we can.
Yeah, the best we can. I still think you're a little critical, but that's all right.
Someone's got to be. We can't all be butterflies and rainbows.
Hypercritical. Okay, so again, big thanks to everyone who tuned in. Appreciate you guys being here. Be sure to come back next week. We will be reviewing episode number 5 of X-Men 97, so be sure to check that out. Reminder to please subscribe wherever you're listening and share this podcast with your friends. If you're on Apple, leaving us a 5-star review would be super helpful. Seriously, like really helpful. And yeah, we appreciate you guys so much. So for my good friends, first of all, Sandy and Shimano, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time, you peasants.